If you're over 60, these two moves could secretly be damaging your spine and knees, and yet they're recommended in almost every senior fitness program. Want to know what they are before it's too late? If you're over 60 and still doing these two common exercises, you might be putting your joints, your back, and even your independence at serious risk. And the scariest part? Most people think they're helping their bodies when in reality they're slowly wearing them down. Sounds dramatic? I wish it were. Because every week in my orthopedic clinic, I meet seniors who walk in confident they're staying fit, only to learn that their daily routine is the very reason they can't climb stairs without pain or get out of bed without wincing. And the truth is, it's not their fault. It's outdated fitness advice. Welcome back to a new video on Senior Secrets TV, where we uncover the truth behind senior health, backed by science, trusted by doctors, and proven by real people like you. I'm glad you're here because what I'm about to share may change the way you move and save your joints from years of unnecessary damage. Let's start with a quick question. What if the exercises you were told are safe for seniors are actually sabotaging your knees and spine? I know it sounds impossible, but let's take a quick trip into the body. After 60, your cartilage, the cushion that keeps your joints smooth, begins to thin. Your muscles lose about 1% of mass per year, and your connective tissues become less elastic. That means your body doesn't tolerate repetitive stress the way it used to. So, when you keep doing the same movements you did at 40, you're unknowingly grinding your joints without the protective support they once had. And that brings us to exercise number one, the one I call the slow destroyer. And no, it's not running. It's something far more common, far more deceptive, and it's probably part of your morning routine right now. It's the traditional sit-up. Yes, that old-school ab exercise your gym teacher swore by. Here's the problem. When you do a sit-up, you're not just working your core. You're compressing your lower spine. Over the years, as the discs in your back lose fluid, that repeated compression acts like a hammer on fragile cartilage. For a 25-year-old, it's fine. Their discs bounce back. For someone over 60, those same discs are thinner, drier, and far more vulnerable. I've seen dozens of older adults come to me with mysterious lower back pain, convinced it was arthritis or just age. But when I dig deeper, it's the sit-ups, the movement itself, that's been silently crushing the lumbar discs for years. One of my patients, a 64-year-old retired firefighter named Tom, came in after weeks of radiating back pain. He thought he had injured himself lifting boxes. Turns out, the culprit was his daily 50 sit-ups, the very thing he believed was keeping him strong. When we replaced them with a spine-safe core routine, his pain vanished within weeks. Now I know what you're thinking. Doctor, are you telling me to stop working my abs? Absolutely not. Your core is crucial for balance, posture, and fall prevention, especially after 60. But how you train it makes all the difference. You see, your abs aren't just the front panel. They're part of a deep system that wraps around your spine like a natural corset. When you perform sit-ups, you're only targeting the superficial muscles and ignoring the ones that actually protect your spine. That's like locking the front door while leaving the back door wide open. Instead, movements like pelvic tilts, dead bugs, and bird dogs engage the deep core without straining your discs. And trust me, these small, controlled exercises are not easy. They're smarter. But before you go rearranging your workout, there's another exercise, even more dangerous, that too many seniors are doing right now, believing it's improving their balance and posture. And this one, I call the joint killer. I'll explain exactly what it is and why surgeons like me quietly warn patients to avoid it, even though few fitness instructors ever mention it. Because once you understand the hidden damage this second exercise causes, you'll never look at your home routine the same way again. Now, let's talk about the second exercise you should stop doing after SA, the one most seniors think is improving their balance, but is actually accelerating wear and tear in the knees and hips. It's the deep lunge. That's right, that classic movement where you step forward and lower your body toward the ground. Fitness trainers love to call it a functional movement. And sure, it's great for younger bodies with strong cartilage and flexible tendons. But after 60, your knee joint simply isn't designed to handle that deep forward pressure. When you drop into a lunge, your front knee absorbs almost 3 times your body weight. Combine that with aging ligaments and thinning cartilage, and you've got the perfect recipe for inflammation, swelling, and long-term joint breakdown. What's worse, lunges often create muscle imbalances, strengthening one leg while overstretching the other. That uneven load doesn't just affect your knees, it throws off your hips and lower back alignment too. And once your alignment slips, every step becomes a micro-injury waiting to happen. I had a 70-year-old patient named Gloria, an active grandmother who loved her at-home workouts. She proudly told me she did 20 lunges every morning to keep her legs strong and toned. But when she started feeling stabbing pain around her kneecaps, she thought it was just age catching up. In reality, those lunges were grinding down her patellar cartilage, inflaming her tendons, and weakening her knee stability. We swapped her lunges for safer closed chain movements like wall sits and step-ups. And within 2 months, she could walk pain-free again. Here's the thing. Most seniors don't realize that after 60, it's not just about staying active, it's about staying aligned. The movements that once built strength can now trigger degeneration if your body's foundation isn't stable. Think of it like a house with aging beams. Even light pressure can cause cracks if the structure isn't reinforced. That's why surgeons like me constantly stress one truth. Longevity in movement is about protection, not punishment. You don't need high-impact, deep-bending exercises to stay strong. In fact, research from the American Journal of Orthopedics found that older adults who shifted from lunges and sit-ups to low-impact strength training gained 38% more functional mobility and reported 7% less joint discomfort within 10 weeks. Those aren't small numbers. That's the difference between feeling confident walking downstairs and holding onto the railing for dear life. Now, before you get worried and toss away your exercise mat, let me reassure you, movement itself isn't the enemy. The wrong type of movement is. Your body still craves strength, balance, and flexibility. It still wants to move. It just needs smarter guidance. You see, once we cross 60, our training should shift from burn calories to protect joints and preserve function. The goal isn't to prove you can still move like you did at 40. It's to make sure you can move at all when you're 80. And that shift begins by replacing high-risk movements, like lunges and sit-ups with their intelligent alternatives. I know, that sounds boring, right? Nobody wants to trade power moves for slower, gentler ones. But let me tell you something funny. I've had retired Marines, ex-athletes, and lifelong gym lovers in my clinic who laughed when I told them to try chair squats and gentle core presses. 2 weeks later, they came back sweating, humbled, and amazed. "Doc," they said, "these little moves are no joke." And they're right. When done correctly, low-impact exercises fire up deep muscle systems that high-impact ones neglect. But what exactly should you be doing instead? And how do you rebuild your strength without putting your joints at risk? This is where science and a little surgeon's insight makes all the difference. Let's start with your spine. Every time you bend forward, your lower discs compress. Over time, this leads to small tears called microfissures, the first step toward herniation. So, instead of sit-ups, focus on controlled isometric holds like planks on your elbows or wall-supported pelvic tilts. They train your entire core to stabilize your spine without strain. For your legs, swap out lunges for step-ups onto a low platform or sit to stands from a sturdy chair. These exercises mimic daily movements like climbing stairs or getting up from a couch, practical strength that keeps you independent. Now you might be wondering, if these two exercises are so risky, why doesn't every trainer or doctor warn about them? Honestly, it's because the fitness world often moves faster than medical research. Trainers rely on trends, while surgeons see the consequences years later. By the time the damage shows up in the operating room, the habits causing it have already been normalized. That's why I made it my mission to bring these clinical truths to everyday people before they reach that point. I'd rather you adjust your routine now than meet me later in an exam room discussing knee replacements. But let's pause for a second. I know this might sound heavy. So, here's a little humor break. If you've ever tried to do a lunge, lost your balance halfway, and ended up clinging to a wall or your cat, congratulations, you're not alone. In fact, balance loss during lunges is one of the most common reasons seniors abandon exercise altogether. That's ironic, isn't it? The very move that's supposed to improve balance makes people feel unsteady and embarrassed. That's your body's way of saying, hey, there's a smarter way to do this. So don't feel bad. Feel empowered. Because knowledge like this helps you exercise with confidence, not fear. And speaking of smarter, the next part of our discussion is where things get exciting, because I'll reveal the replacement movements surgeons and physical therapists are quietly recommending across the country. These are exercises that not only rebuild strength, but also protect your knees, back, and hips from long-term degeneration. The ones proven to improve blood flow, restore joint fluid, and enhance coordination, even for those who've struggled with pain for years. We'll break down why they work, how to do them safely, and the simple 10-minute routine that can make you feel years younger without ever stepping foot in a gym. Ready? Then stay with me, because the next few minutes could quite literally change the way you move for the rest of your life. Now let's get into the part everyone's been waiting for. The safer, surgeon-approved replacements that can rebuild strength, restore balance, and protect your joints, even if you haven't exercised in years. Because here's the truth, the human body is incredibly forgiving when treated right. You can reverse stiffness, regain stability, and even rebuild lost muscle well into your 70s if you know what you're doing. It all starts with something I call smart resistance. Unlike traditional workouts that focus on motion, smart resistance focuses on control. Every movement you make is intentional, supported, and aligned with how your body is designed to move after 60. So, what are the magic moves? The first one is the supported squat. Don't worry, this isn't the deep, painful squat you see in gyms. This is a gentle, joint-safe version that activates your thighs and glutes without bending your knees too far. All you need is the back of a chair or a countertop for support. Hushed. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart, hold the chair lightly, and lower yourself just a few inches, like you're about to sit down, but stop halfway. Hold for 2 seconds, then rise back up slowly. That's it. You'll feel your thighs engage instantly, and your knees will thank you because you're training the muscles that stabilize them rather than the joints themselves. Over time, this simple movement restores the strength that walking alone can't touch. The second movement surgeons swear by is called the hip bridge. It's one of the most underrated exercises for people over 60. You lie on your back, knees bent, feet flat, and lift your hips gently toward the ceiling. What this does is strengthen your glutes, the powerhouse muscles that support your entire lower back and hips. When your glutes are strong, your posture improves, your gait steadies, and you naturally reduce the strain on your knees. Many of my older patients find that after a few weeks of daily hip bridges, their chronic back tension fades, and their balance improves dramatically. I always tell them, your glutes are your body's shock absorbers. keep them strong, and every step becomes easier. But here's something fascinating. These small, simple moves aren't just physical. They trigger powerful neurological changes too. When you challenge your muscles in controlled ways, your brain begins to rebuild lost pathways that control balance and coordination. In medical terms, we call this neuroplasticity, your nervous system's ability to rewire itself. So when you perform a supported squat or a hip bridge, you're not just strengthening muscle fibers. You're reteaching your brain how to keep you steady. And that's the key to fall prevention, something that becomes a silent fear for many people past 60. The CDC reports that 1 in 4 older adults experiences a fall each year, and the consequences can be devastating. But here's the hopeful part. A study from the Journal of Geriatric Physical Therapy found that seniors who replaced high-risk moves with controlled, surgeon-recommended strength training reduced their fall risk by 40 in just 8 weeks. That's nearly cutting the risk in half, without heavy weights or complex workouts. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Doctor, I don't have time for long workouts or fancy equipment, and that's the beauty of it. You don't need any. Most of these movements can be done at home, in your living room, wearing your pajamas if you want. What matters most isn't how long you work out. It's how consistently you do it. 10 minutes a day, done with focus and intention, can completely transform your mobility over time. Let me share a quick story. A retired postal worker named Arthur came to me at 60, frustrated because he'd been told his knees were too far gone. He'd stopped walking long distances, and his doctor mentioned he might need surgery soon. Instead of sending him straight to the operating room, I gave him a simple program: supported squats, hip bridges, and gentle heel raises. 3 months later, Arthur was not only pain-free, but also walking up his driveway without holding on to anything. His secret? He didn't push harder. He moved smarter. That's the kind of transformation I want for every one of you watching. And while we're on the subject of moving smarter, let's address something most people never talk about: recovery. You see, it's not the exercise that makes you stronger, it's how your body heals after it. After 60, your recovery systems slow down. Blood circulation decreases, muscle repair takes longer, and inflammation lingers. That's why what you do in the hours after exercise matters just as much as the workout itself. One of the simplest recovery boosters I recommend to my patients is gentle ankle mobility. Rotate your ankles in slow circles for 30 seconds after exercise. This encourages blood flow from your feet to your heart, which helps remove waste products from the muscles. Add a few slow, deep breaths while doing it, and you'll trigger your body's relaxation response, reducing inflammation naturally. It sounds trivial, but trust me, small rituals like this can be the difference between waking up stiff or waking up energized. Here's another often overlooked truth: hydration. Most older adults don't drink enough water, and that directly impacts joint health. The fluid inside your joints, called synovial fluid, is mostly water. When you're dehydrated, it thickens, making your joints feel stiff and grinding. Think of it like an engine running without enough oil. So after every exercise session, have a glass of water with a pinch of sea salt or a few drops of lemon. That tiny step can drastically improve your flexibility and prevent cramps. And yes, I know, you've probably been told this 1,000 times before, but here's the difference. When you understand the why, you're more likely to actually do it. So now we've covered what not to do: no sit-ups, no deep lunges, and what to do instead: supported squats, hip bridges, and gentle stability work. But how do you tie it all together into something practical and sustainable? That's where the 10-minute joint revival routine comes in. A doctor-designed, zero-equipment series of moves that seniors across the US are using to maintain independence, reduce pain, and move with confidence again. In the next part, I'll walk you through exactly how it works, the best time of day to do it, and the secret sequence that makes it twice as effective as traditional exercise. You'll also learn how these movements trigger the release of joint healing compounds naturally produced by your own body, something even most doctors never explain. Ready to rebuild your body from the inside out? Then stay with me, because this next part could be your blueprint for feeling younger, stronger, and pain-free again. Now, let's dive straight into the 10-minute joint revival routine. The same simple, science-backed sequence that surgeons, physiotherapists, and rehabilitation experts across America quietly recommend for their older patients to rebuild stability, strength, and the mobility without risking injury. Picture this: 10 minutes a day that could literally roll back 10 years of stiffness, one small movement at a time. Sounds too good to be true, right? But that's exactly what consistent, low-impact activation does for the aging body. The secret lies in order. Each movement in this routine prepares your muscles and joints for the next one, creating a chain reaction that restores balance, circulation, and neuromuscular control. It begins with something called the joint awakener. Stand tall beside a wall or sturdy chair for balance. Gently lift one knee at a time, as if marching in slow motion. Do 10 reps per side. This wakes up your hip flexors and engages your lower core, muscles that are crucial for stability, but often go dormant with age. Next, move into the supported squat we discussed earlier. Perform 8 to 10 slow, deliberate repetitions, holding each one for 2 seconds at the lowest point you comfortably reach. Feel your thighs and glutes turn on. That's your foundation being rebuilt. Once you've activated your lower body, transition into heel raises. Hold the back of a chair, stand on your toes, and slowly lower back down. This simple action strengthens your calves and improves blood flow from your feet upward, which is vital for circulation and balance. After that, lie down on a mat or firm bed for the hip bridge. Do 10 slow lifts, pressing through your heels as you raise your hips. Focus on squeezing your glutes at the top. Imagine lifting your hips toward the ceiling with control. Finally, finish with shoulder rolls and ankle circles to keep your upper and lower extremities aligned and mobile. In total, that's 5 core movements, gentle enough for daily practice but powerful enough to transform the way your body moves in just a few weeks. Patients who stick to this for even 14 days often report that simple tasks like climbing stairs, standing up from chairs, or bending down to tie shoes feel easier and smoother. That's not magic. That's the science of reactivation. What's happening inside your body when you do this routine is fascinating. Each controlled contraction pushes oxygen-rich blood through the small capillaries that feed your muscles and joints. That blood carries nutrients your tissues desperately need: collagen precursors, anti-inflammatory compounds, and healing factors like IGF-1 that decline naturally after age 60. As your circulation improves, your joints start producing more synovial fluid, the slippery substance that keeps movement friction-free. It's like relubricating an old hinge. Combine that with muscle activation, and you've got the perfect biological cocktail for rejuvenation. Studies from the American Geriatric Society show that seniors who perform 10-minute functional routines like this 3 times per week experience up to 30% improvements in balance, 13 faster walking speed, and 20% less reported knee pain compared to those who only walk for exercise. That's the difference between moving freely and moving fearfully. Now, let me share something surgeons rarely talk about: the emotional side of movement loss. When older adults lose mobility, it's not just their bodies that change, it's their confidence. They start planning life around limitations, avoiding stairs, skipping social events, or saying no to things they used to enjoy. That's not just aging, that's the body's silent cry for reactivation. I've seen it in my patients: the quiet frustration, the subtle fear of falling, the embarrassment of slowing down. But the moment they start moving again, the moment they feel stability returning, something powerful happens. Hope comes back. It's not about fitness, it's about freedom. And that's exactly what this routine gives back, one repetition at a time. Of course, not every day will feel perfect. Some mornings your knees will ache, your back might feel stiff, or your energy will dip. That's normal. Healing isn't linear, but every time you show up and do these gentle movements, you're sending a message to your body. I'm still in charge. And your body listens. It adapts. It rebuilds. Even after years of inactivity, the human musculoskeletal system has an incredible ability to regenerate. Researchers from Harvard Medical School found that muscle fibers can repair and regrow, even in people in their 70s and 80s, when properly stimulated. The key word there is properly. That's why avoiding risky exercises like sit-ups and lunges is so important, because the wrong kind of stress slows recovery, while the right kind of stress accelerates it. So how do you know if you're on the right track? Simple. Your movements should feel dull, not strained. If you feel sharp pain, grinding, or pinching, stop immediately. Your body's signaling that something's misaligned. Instead, think slow, steady, and supported. Quality always beats quantity. Over time, you'll notice subtle but powerful changes. You'll rise from chairs more easily, your balance when stepping off curbs will improve, and you'll wake up feeling lighter, more mobile, and more confident. And that's when you realize something profound. Getting older doesn't mean getting weaker, it just means you have to train smarter. Now, before we wrap this up, I want to share one more insider truth that most seniors never hear until it's too late. It's not just your muscles that control movement, it's your mind-body connection. When you perform each repetition with intention, you engage the brain's motor cortex more deeply, strengthening neural pathways that keep you coordinated and responsive. That's why I always tell my patients, don't just gun through the motions. Feel the movement. Visualize your muscles activating, your joints aligning, your body recharging. This mindful approach amplifies results, boosts motivation, and even reduces the sensation of pain through neurological feedback. In short, you're not just training your body, you're rewiring your brain for resilience. And speaking of rewiring, there's one final step that brings everything full circle, integrating this knowledge into your everyday life. Because what good is a great routine if you don't carry its benefits into the rest of your day? That's what we'll talk about next. How to apply these lessons to your posture, your walking habits, and your recovery rituals, so you can turn every step you take into a step toward longevity. Stay with me, because this final segment is where everything you've learned connects, where science meets daily living, and where your new, pain-free chapter truly begins. Now that you understand which exercises to avoid and which movements truly rebuild your strength safely, let's bring it all together into the daily habits that will protect your joints and restore your natural mobility for years to come. Imagine this. Every step you take, every time you sit or stand, you are either building your future independence or slowly giving it away. The difference lies in awareness. The smallest postural adjustments can change everything. Start by paying attention to your standing alignment. When you stand, your ears, shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles should form one straight line. Most seniors unknowingly lean slightly forward, placing constant stress on the knees and lower back. Correcting that posture not only relieves pain, but also activates the glutes and core muscles that keep you stable. When sitting, never collapse into the chair. Sit tall with both feet flat, knees at 90 degrees, and spine neutral. Think of your spine as a tower. The stronger and straighter it is, the longer it lasts. A slumped posture doesn't just look tired, it signals your nervous system to conserve energy, which leads to muscle underuse and fatigue. So every time you sit tall, you're actually waking up your energy systems. Let's talk about walking, something we all assume we know how to do. But after 60, the body's natural gait patterns can shift due to years of wear, leading to shortened strides and weaker steps. Here's a quick check. When you walk, do your feet point slightly outward or inward? If they do, your hips might be tight and rotating incorrectly, forcing your knees to absorb unnecessary shock. Try this instead. Walk with intention, feeling your heel touch first, then roll through the middle of the foot, and finally push off with your toes. Imagine pressing the earth away from you with every step. This activates your glutes and hamstrings, giving your joints the support they need. Surgeons often say, "You're only as young as your stride." And they're right. A strong, deliberate stride signals balance, coordination, and vitality. Another often overlooked aspect of joint health is recovery. You see, muscle repair doesn't happen during exercise. It happens afterward, during rest. That's why hydration, nutrition, and sleep become just as important as movement. Without proper recovery, the body can't rebuild tissues or flush out inflammation. So after your routine, drink a full glass of water with a pinch of electrolytes. It helps restore the fluid inside your joints and supports circulation. Eat protein-rich foods like eggs, beans, or salmon to supply amino acids for tissue repair. And when you sleep, make sure your mattress supports your spine. A sagging bed can undo all your hard work overnight. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality rest, ideally at the same time each night. Remember, healing follows rhythm. Your body thrives on consistency. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the emotional side of staying active after 60. It's not easy. You've lived through decades of habits, careers, families, responsibilities, and sacrifices. Starting something new can feel daunting, even intimidating. But think about this. Every movement you make is a statement of self-respect. It's your body saying, "I still matter." That's powerful. I've had patients who began these simple changes at 68 or 70, and within months, they were walking taller, moving better, and feeling younger, not because they reversed aging, but because they stopped surrendering to it. The goal isn't to defy age, it's to age intelligently, to move with intention, strength, and dignity. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, let me ask you something. How would your life change if pain didn't control your choices anymore? If getting out of bed felt effortless again? If your joints didn't ache every time you took the stairs or bent to pick something up? Imagine that freedom. That's not a fantasy. It's a biological possibility waiting for your action. The human body is astonishingly adaptable. Studies from Stanford University show that adults over 60 who start a consistent mobility program can increase flexibility by up to 40 and strength by 20 within 8 weeks, regardless of how long they've been inactive. Think about that, 8 weeks to reclaim a part of your youth. But here's where most people stumble. They start strong, then quit when results take time. Healing isn't instant. It's cumulative. Your joints and muscles respond to consistency, not intensity. That's why I always tell seniors, the goal is progress, not perfection. 10 minutes a day beats one intense workout once a week. It's the same principle surgeons use in rehabilitation. Small, repeatable stress builds resilience. So even on days you don't feel like it, do one movement. One supported squat, one march in place, one bridge. Those small wins compound into transformation. Now, let's inject a little humor for perspective. You know how we all say, "No pain, no gain"? Well, after 60, that slogan becomes "No brain, all pain." Because pushing through sharp pain isn't toughness, it's self-sabotage. Your body has earned the right to be treated gently. Listen to it. Adjust when needed. Laugh at the small setback because they're proof you're trying. Progress in your 60s isn't about perfection. It's about persistence with compassion. Here's something surgeons wish every senior knew. Joint pain isn't always caused by wear and tear. Sometimes it's caused by muscle imbalance. When one muscle group becomes weaker, another overcompensates, pulling joints out of alignment. That's why walking alone can't fix the problem, because it doesn't address the imbalances causing the pain. Targeted movements like squats, hip bridges, and ankle rolls do. They retrain your muscles to share the load evenly. Over time, this reduces pressure inside your joints, which decreases pain naturally. That's the hidden reason physical therapists prescribe these exact moves. They're not random, they're corrective. And if you've ever wondered why some people in their 70s move better than others in their 50s, the answer is this: neuroplasticity. The brain's ability to learn new movement patterns never goes away. Every time you challenge your body safely, by balancing, squatting, or stretching, your brain creates new neural pathways that make the movement easier next time. That's how mastery happens. So, if you've been telling yourself it's too late for me, I'm here to tell you, it's not. Science says otherwise. Before we end, I want to leave you with this thought. There's a version of you that moves without fear, that feels steady on every step, that wakes up energized instead of sore. That version already exists. It's just waiting for you to reactivate it. Don't let the years define your strength. Let your strength redefine your years. Start by eliminating those too risky exercises, replacing them with the safer, smarter ones you learned today, and practice them consistently. Give your body the gift of motion, because motion is medicine. Now, if you found this information helpful, I've got something even more powerful waiting for you, a companion video. Goes deeper into the most effective, science-backed exercises trusted by doctors and proven by seniors just like you to rebuild strength, balance, and energy naturally. Click the end screen to watch that video next. Remember, backed by science, trusted by doctors, and proven by seniors like you. Take action today, because your next decade of freedom starts with the steps you take right now.